Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another episode of Higurashi. Last time, we got the finale of the Thief arc. It was apparently some random guys plus Fuka who kept leaving the door unlocked to get some turnips for some wild doggies. It was very cute. But yeah, once again, good things are happening in the village. I keep thinking like, oh man, it's gonna be despair, but no, they keep conquering their challenges, and now through this, I think the three families will be more united. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's just hope for good times. Surely, like nothing bad will happen ever, right? That's how it should be. The next morning, there's a huge crowd of villagers at Furude Shrine. For that was the place where the thieves who'd snuck into the shrine warehouse the night before were tied up. Yeah, scumbags. Kind of. The worst thing is too, it's not like Aiden, they're stealing medicine, it's free medicine. You just gotta wait a bit. You gotta wait in line. But stealing something that's technically given for free is such an extra layer of scummy, man. Just wait. It was a small village, so even though the attempted theft was early in the morning, everyone already knew. Once they heard the rumors, they headed to the shrine to get a glimpse of the criminals. At least it's like no one we know. They're just outsiders. Based Mao shamed them. Shino heaved a deep sigh with a sour face. However, her hostility had dialed down since the incident last night, so her response was more akin to hearing about a prank committed by a local girl. Ooh. What else? How did they know that it was in the shed, maybe? But I feel like you might be able to assume that. But let's see what our worry is first. Shino heaved a sigh as she stood next to Shino. Shino heaved a sigh as she stood next to Shino by the garden. Huh. Wonder. Uh-oh, little error. It's probably Fuka. It doesn't matter. One of them went to the other side. Perhaps feeling a little pity for the thieves for being made a spectacle. But it was necessary to set an example to keep this sort of thing from happening, so she didn't show any signs of stopping it either. I sat down on a rock next to them to oversee the proceedings and emotionlessly stared at the bound criminals. Hoka shrugged when she saw me like that. Don't worry, I'm chilling. The guard dots. Ooh. Maybe we'll have to give them a little of the Sonozaki torture magic. Mao stepped out in front of the three men, bowed deeply and faced straight ahead. Her words were courteous, and she maintained decorum. However, the three men trembled and shrank back in fear and regret at her callous voice and glare as sharp as a blade. Cough, cough. Naturally, the three of them kept hanging their heads as they held their tongues, as if to say they had nothing to talk about. Exactly as Mao had anticipated. Finger torture, maybe. Hugo, who'd been standing in the back, turned to his nearby followers and silently nodded. The man then brought out a bizarre black iron apparatus that had been concealed in a nearby thicket. What was that? It was probably some sort of tool, but I had no idea what use it served. I looked up at Shino and Ota to chat with them, but it seemed they were just as lost as I was. Actually, the start of their torturing legacy. It was all Mao the whole time. She made the Sonozaki torture freaks. The two of them produced wooden masks that looked identical to humans. Their mouths were so wide they looked like they would tear apart, while the eyes had been designed to look as though they were an agony. Mao said and turned her back on the thieves, followed by Hugo and Azuma fixing the mask they showed onto the black apparatus. It looked as if the whole face was covered in a black iron, a rather unpleasant sight. Dentistry. Oh. Yeah. Mao suddenly touched the device and began spinning a spin action lever. Oh my god, no, it keeps your mouth open, and when you spin it, it opens it wider and wider, like upwards. That's pretty terrifying. Good thinking, Mao. Sounds like some good torture, especially if you have more people than one and they watch it happen to one guy. Yeah. The unpleasant echo of metal abrading echoed. Yeah, you don't use echo and echoed in the same sentence. No, it was what was happening to the mass fits to the machine that was worse. Creak, creak. Yep. Disgusting. Creak, creak. Mao faintly smirked as she continued turning the lever. I only then realized that the previously rowdy villagers were all now watching with bated breath, and the thieves, their face wrought with worry, couldn't look away from that either. Yep, Outlet, turn away. You're too pure for this. Outlet and Shino frowned and looked at each other. It seemed they realized what Mao was planning. I could imagine it too, naturally. Not a great way to go out, huh? Creak, creak. Just then, there's the sound of metal bursting and the lever stopped. And at the same time, the sound of the wooden mass splitting could be clearly heard mixed within that. Spoke in a way that made it clear she was playing dumb, as she filled her arm with strength just then. Crack. The wooden mass split in two and was smashed to pieces. Yeah, just tell her, dude. Fuck that. I do not want to die like that. Bruh. No, ain't no way you're gonna be. What loyalties do you have? Just say you're gonna die. Yeah, there you go. Honestly, smart play. The thieves all cried out in submission to fear. A wave of relieved and fearful sighs spread across the villagers when they saw that. Even I felt like this may have been going a little too far. Listen, we hated Griffies. We never did that to them, though. Ota and Shino were also watching over Mao with grim expressions. Still, why was she doing something so threatening in front of the whole village? Mao was already feared, so wouldn't this just make her position worse and worse? Oh wait, maybe she did it with that idea in mind? Become a proper watchdog. Ocha's face warped in disgust as per her character, but Shino shook her head after thinking about it a bit. The threats had been so effective that the men kept confessing everything they knew while begging for their lives. Damn. Mao nodded in understanding. It seemed the man who answered first had been the ringleader. Yeah. And he's working for something. But something also struck me as odd. Even though Ota was right about the theft, there should have been no need to put on such a threatening display to ascertain their motives. And just what was it Mao and the others were trying to get out of them? Who hired them, maybe? Bruh. Just answer. Mao glared furiously at the man close enough to breathe on him, making her previous threats seem like mere child's play. The man's face froze in terror at that intense glare, as she started trembling with tears in his eyes, as he started trembling. There's a mastermind among us. It was Fuka the whole time. She was just playing dumb with the turnip shenanigans to keep you off the track, man. Fuka's the mastermind. Yep. It's a great call, honestly. Shino said that and sternly stared at the thieves. The ringleader frantically shook his head in the face of Mao and her men's threats. I'm just an ordinary thief. I said that and kicked a piece of the mask from the ground over to the man. When he saw that, he dropped his forehead to the ground and started begging. You're dead either way. Would you rather get killed by a sword or a weird mouthed expander thing? The lose-lose. One you lose harder. I bet, at least. Wait, Ota, let Mao cook. Ota said that and stood in front of Mao, pleading on the ringleader's behalf, but Shino remained where she stood. Normally she'd be the one who'd stop Mao's misdeeds right away, yet here she was, letting things play out naturally. Which meant this cruel act of Mao's was all calculated on her part. She would stir the villagers' fear by making herself seem vicious, which would highlight Ota's kindness and contrast, and thereby increase the villagers' unity behind her. Furthermore, the villagers who witnessed this would likely spread word about what terror awaited thieves, deterring people from sneaking into the warehouse. Now that they knew the penalty, dude, Mao is cooking, dude. Big brain stuff. It's good to be the guardsman, to be in the shadows and in the spotlight like Ota. It was a volatile and crafty method, but certainly effective, though it seemed Ota hadn't caught on to it.
この男は鬼ヶ淵村の飛躍を盗もうとした悪党だ。許すわけにはいかない。
Yeah, fuck them. Don't kill them. And don't actually fuck them. That's not what I meant. But you know, middle finger to them.
そうだろみんな。
それは確かにな。
Though the villagers hesitated, they nodded and spoke in approval. They were probably afraid of setting off any sparks. However, I could tell from the satisfied smile that flashed on Mao's face for just a moment that she was thinking about pulling out soon.
とりあえずこれでこの人たちも懲りたでしょ。ならば、あとは代官所に任せて罪に応じた罰を受けてもらうべきです。私たちが彼らに危害を加えることはこの村の掟に反する行為だと思います。
The love of this village.
それも一理ある。おいあんた。
Mao yanked the man's hair and trained his face up. Then the glare in her eyes softened and a faint smile rose to her face.
王家の顔に免じてこの辺にしといてやるよ。感謝するんだね。
すまねえ。
もっとも代官所に行った時点であんたたちは裁きを受けることもなく殺されるんだろうけどさ。お気の毒様だね。
I mean, I have no idea what the rules are back then, but I feel like death was handed out more easily than it is nowadays, so. That parting threat caused those three men's eyes to widen in shock, but Mao's smile never faded, and she simply shrugged and casually said, "It's true."
あんたたちはいわばトカゲの尻尾さ。本当の悪党ってのは自分は傷つかず分け前は独り占めにするもんだ。さてそこで問題だ。雇った相手はあんたたちが鬼ヶ淵村の連中に捕まったと知ったらどう思うだろうね。きっと自分の正体を白状した。
Damn, yeah. Lots of dead ends here, boys.
さっさと切り捨てて自分は知らぬ存ぜぬを決め込もう。だってね。そんなの相手の知って
I
る
didn't
こと
mean
じゃない
to skip.
よ。
My bad. Here, we'll listen to his beautiful voice.
そんなバカな。俺は何にも話してねえぞ。
まあどう転んでもあんたの人生はお先真っ暗だ。
This is why you don't steal, boys. Or you might get mauled.
だったらここで生えちまいなよ。今だったらうちの組でかくまってやってもいい。
Nah, she won't, but it's good to get this information, actually.
これは王家の目の前で
Come on, save Futa
私が
somehow.
必ず守ると誓ってやる
The man silently hung his head as large drops of sweat rose from his forehead. He then looked at the comrades' faces and finally saw the pleading looks. After seeing the pleading looks on their faces, made up his mind and muttered in a low voice, "Ard."
領主様だよ
Dun dun dun! What the fuck? That's like our governor, right? Even Mao couldn't help but gasp in shock and fall speechless. When she heard that, she then turned around and quickly gestured Shino over, who was frowning in confusion.
どうしたの一体誰が
Yeah, it's a bad enemy to have.
領主様の使いが俺たちのところに来て薬を盗み出せって言ったんだ成功したら報酬はたんまり弾むって言われてそれで
Shino looked at Mao with a grim expression when she heard that. The two stared at each other as they sighed, concerned over what to do.
まずいことになったわね
Can't really like fight them or anything. It's the feudal lord.
どこぞのエイラ型が絡んでいるとは思っていたけどまさか領主とは
That's like that's basically boss of the province, right? Highest for this area.
やぶつついて大蛇ってやつだよくそ
そんなにまずいのですか
Ultra stared in bewilderment at her fellow heads, clearly not grasping the weight of the situation. Shino hesitated over whether to tell her for a few seconds, but eventually nodded.
ここら一帯の領主はね金儲けのためなら強引なことも平気でやってくるんだ
You should have suspected him. He sounds like the perfect person to do something like this.
それこそ言うことを聞かせるためなら武力さえも打ち出してくるやつさ正直あまりいい話ではないね
Not even Mao could hide how shaken she was. It seemed she believed the mastermind to just be some immortal merchant or a group of thieves. She likely assumed that if the culprits were simply motivated by profit, the after effects of today's demonstrations would be enough to make them realize they'd been playing with fire and give up. But that would have the complete opposite effect when the culprit was a man of authority. Instead, he could use this incident as a just cause to suppress strife.
ということは近いうちに来るわね私たちが決して逆らえないようなご
そんな
Sorry. What's the decree? The thieves behind the warehouse theft had been caught. That was all this was supposed to be. And yet, now that she'd learned the situation was turning in the ways that far defied their expectations, Oka was dumbfounded. Give them turnips. It's our only way. They went for me as well.
やはり手を出すべきではなかったのか
Damn. It was far too late to regret that now. Word of the medicine had already spread outside of the nation, so it was too late to pretend it never happened. All they could do was act cautiously from now on.
とりあえずここでいろいろ考えていても仕方がないこいつらは私の方で引き受けるからシノさんは薬の配送を予定通りに進めてくれ分かったわ
Okay, be careful though.
手伝ってくれる
はい
大丈夫よ
Get her to safety too,
私たちが
kinda.
何とかするから
ええ
Otis nodded at Shino's encouragement, but neither me Nor Shino, nor Mao knew if that was how she truly felt. However, I couldn't help but be concerned over the look in some of the young villagers' eyes. I tried to follow them to figure out what they were up to, but Oka asked me to help out, and at some point I forgot all about him. I'd come to gravely regret that oversight. Ooh. I know it's a really short episode, but I think I am gonna end it here. It's pretty late. Plus, I've been pretty busy at work. Like, this is like, yeah, this is like a break week for our main series. Sure, this week, oh, we do have some tips, so this should actually fill in the time. Never mind. I didn't even need to do a speech. Perfect. Yeah. Class 201.
王か、あなたがその剣技を使わざるを得ない機会に会うのはできればないことを祈りたいのですが、それゆえあなたにはその場面に直面した時の心構えだけを申し伝えておきます。
はい。
まず、たとえ相手の技が拙いものだったとしても、決して油断せぬように。
Something in boxing too, or it's a saying in like fighting in general. For boxing, even a amateur can hit a pro with a lucky hit, but with grappling, it's all skill. So like, even though it doesn't fully connect with this, it's saying like even if you're highly like more skilled than them, you have to care, because luck happens. You could trip, they could just get a nice punch in, you can misread for a second.
男と違って、
Yeah.
女子の力はどこまで鍛えても限りがあります。
That is true.
ですから、切り合いから力押しとなれば、どんなに技を極めたところで、不利劣勢は免れません。
Unless you're Hanyu.
でも、あまり相手は怖がってくれないの？
そうですね。
Especially if they're used to swords.
戸惑いはしますが、その後に抱く感情はまず好奇心と敬具。力の差を気で感じることができない素人ほど恐怖を抱くことはほとんどないでしょう。ですが同時にそこにこそ唯一のそして決定的な勝機があることも覚えておいてください。
どういうこと？
つまり相手は力でねじ伏せようと初手の際に生まれる隙が無意識のうちに大きくなります。初手は心理的優劣を形成するにあたってとても重要な行動です。
Sure, yeah. Puts you on the defensive if someone's charging at you right from the start.
でもその際、体の各部がガラ空きになる。ですから、その隙を逃すか逃さないかによって、その後の戦況
Get a
が
nice counter attack right from the get-go.
できた隙には最大限につけ込めってことね。
Yeah, sure. That's basically.
さらに、キリは攻撃を当てやすいのですが、その
It's
分
the classic weak explanation, huh?
防御もされやすい。しかし、一つならば相手にとっては点なので、防御はもちろん回避も難しい。
True. Slash you can predict easier than a thrust because you're guarding against a single point instead of like a big sword, basically.
ゆえに力で劣る女性が最も効果的。
That's why Hanyu's special was a thrust.
一つなのです。ちなみに理想的な一つは一度目を隙を開けるための擬態とし、二度目をとどめに使います。
Right.
もっともこれはよほどの技量と判断力を必要としますので、まだまだあなたが覚えるには早すぎますが。
なるほど。
それから一つの時、一番命中しやすく効果的な場所はどこだと思いますか？
Probably somewhere in the chest area. Or even like the upper rib. Head's... I mean, head obviously would kill, but it's also slightly easier to guard a thrust against, just as there's not as much places to poke on the head.
それはやっぱり
Definitely not the throat. The throat is deadly if you hit its chest
いいえ
or legs.
誰しも攻撃を受けた際には反射的に急所を守ろうとするものです。その時真っ先に動くのは手。
Bro, I don't know. But I guess that made sense, especially in Japan when they're still using katanas now. Get rid of the hands, they basically lose the fight.
そして攻撃の時にも当然手が主体となって動
Yeah,
く。
it's actually smart.
つまり手は攻守一体の器官で常に人の意図に基づいて無意識下で動きます。
それで
しかしそれだけに人は手自体を守ろうという意識が薄い。故に攻撃を受けた際はそれから逃れたり防いだりする反応が他の体のどこよりも遅れてしまうものなのです。
Okay.
でも動いているものに攻撃を当て
It
る
is a
のは
pretty small target to thrust. Might be like one of the
そ
hardest,
の動きの
honestly.
軌道は途中で容易に変えることができないので予測点をつけやすいのです。
Fair enough, though.
だから一つの時はまず手を。
Alright. Some solid advice, honestly. It makes a lot of sense. Very cool. Thank you for padding the episode a bit, Hanyu. Hopefully we get a class 3 at least, right? Can't end on a class 201. Need a 301. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time as we, I don't know, plan against the Feudal Lord. Pretty spooky.